Hi, it's Sandy Wiley. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I talk about psychology, bad psychology, narcissistic psychologists, personality disorders, mental health, and try to erase the stigma around mental health. And just getting people comfortable talking about things that most people try to shy away from. Remember to be kind in the comments. I don't mind people disagreeing with me, that's fine, but I don't want anyone to be rude or unkind in what you say about me or anyone else. I get to do that about my psychologist. And if you like the video, give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Stick around and see what I have to say. Because I went to therapy for almost 20 years. I've been in therapy. I haven't gone the past 2 years, but I've been in therapy since I was like, oh my goodness, 38, 37, 38, until the last 2 years, 2021. So 2 years ago would make me 56. So that's 18 years, yeah. All right, let's dive into it. I've had so many narcissistic psychologists, and I thought, I talked a lot about the harm that they did, and they did. But I wanted to talk about what are some of the signs that I missed that I should have, been better aware of. And how they say hindsight is always 20/20. Well, now that, I've been therapy free, I've been off, I've been on the wagon. Oh, what is it? Yeah. No, when you go off the wagon, that means yeah. I know it has to do with drinking, but I've been off that therapy wagon for 2 years. I'll just say that. And looking back, and I do analyze. I have an analytical mind. I have, I overthink. That's why I like to drink. I like to drink because drinking stops the thinking. I'm also a poet too, so I'm a poet and I know it. So I want to go and review some of the signs that were there when I was a patient of these narcissistic shrinks that I, kind of glossed over. And it doesn't have to just be a psychologist. This, pertains to other relationships and other people. I'm giving you these signs, and you can, put them towards relationships that you have, even if you're not in therapy. But anyway, this was with my psychologist. So, the two I'm going to talk about today, in this video, is Dr. Eugene Pagani, and he was in Newton, and Dr. Brad Bedar, and he was in Norwood. Now, in another video, the first thing that comes to my mind when I mention these two is in another video I mentioned be careful of psychologists who have home offices because they can't be monitored, right? And like Dr. Richard Geist, home office, Dr. James Barberia, home office, right? Dr. Jeffrey Fortgang, home office. Same with these two. Dr. Eugene Pagani, home office. In Newton, Dr. Brad Bedar, home office in Norwood. And Bedar was really crazy. This guy almost gave me a nervous breakdown. I kid you not. I had crippling anxiety. I couldn't leave the house with him since I was his patient. And he kicked me out of therapy. Both of these psychologists, Brad Bedar and Eugene Pagani, kicked me out of the therapy. Like, whoosh, out. Right away. Not right away. I was, with Brad Bedar, it was right away. It was after a month. With Eugene Pagani, it was after 2 years. But they kicked me out just like that. There was no discussion. There was no warning. Like, if you don't, it was just like, you're out. I don't want you anymore. Let's first talk about Dr. Brad Bedar. He was really weirdo. He didn't have any, usually when they have a home office, all right, their home office is in a separate entryway from their home. All right, so they have a separate entrance where you come in and go out. That's not part of their home where their family is. Okay, it could be in their basement. It could be in their attic. I've had ones that had it in their attic, in their basement, whatever. But this guy, no. This guy, you walk in his house. He doesn't have any office. You sit in his living room. There's no separate place. I mean, he was divorced, okay? He didn't live with anyone, so it didn't really matter. But still, it's really not right. He didn't even have a waiting room. Do you know where I had to wait when someone was in his living room? I had to wait in his porch. And in the winter, it was freezing. I mean, it was an enclosed porch, right? But it had no heat. It's still, a screened porch. So I'd be there shivering, waiting, to get... He tried to force things on me. Now listen to this, because this pertains not just to psychologists, to other people. If people try to get you to talk about things that you're not comfortable with, there's a big red flag. This was Brad Bedard. He tried to get me to talk about my father, okay? And he said horrible things about my father, how my father was mean, how my father scared me. I mean, he's putting down my father. He didn't even know my father, okay? All he knew about him was he's schizophrenic. He didn't even know him. And he's saying all these things solely based on a diagnosis. So he's judging my father not by anything that I said, only by, other than I told him he was schizophrenic. It's like someone judging me only by knowing I have borderline personality disorder. They're going to say, oh, what a drama queen she is, or, oh, she's so emotional, without even knowing me, just based on that. And that's what he did. So one of the warning signs is if someone tries to get you, especially a psychologist, but anyone, even a friend, a boyfriend, it doesn't matter. If someone is trying to get you to talk about something that, you need to have your boundaries, all right? What's okay and what isn't okay. And you need to stand up for yourself and say, hey, you know what? It's not okay to talk about my father like that, or I don't really feel like talking about my father. No one should force you, even a psychologist, especially a psychologist, not even, especially, should never, ever force you into talking about something that you don't want to talk about. That's especially for psychologists. Your friend, I had a friend like that too, who gave me the 3rd degree. Why do you do this? I'm not friends with her anymore. Her name was Janice, but she was a little devil. You know what she did? She got her other friend to ask me the questions that she was, too afraid to ask me. So she went through someone else, another, a third party. And I got the 3rd degree. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? I mean, imagine your good friend has this other friend, right? Now, your good friend, she doesn't ask you anything. She's acting all nice and sweet to your face. But her friend is sending you messages like, why do you go out in pajama pants? Why don't you wear, why can't you put on regular pants? Why don't you cut your hair? Why do you wear your hair like that? You get the idea, right? She's smelling like a rose, your friend, because she's not asking you any of these things. She's sicking her friend to ask you, and it's like, you feel interrogated. It's like, you know what? I'll do what I want to do. I don't owe you an answer. That's, and this is the same for a psychologist. You don't owe anyone an explanation about anything that you do, okay? Especially a psychologist. But your best friend, your best friend's friend, your adult parent, you're an adult, right? If you're an adult and your parent says, why aren't you married? When are you going to give me a grandchild? I never say things like that to my son. Nope. You don't need to answer those questions. You can say, you know what? It's none of your business. It's my life, and that's the end of the discussion. And if you continue to ask the questions, I'm not going to see you again. Either respect my boundaries or you're not in my life. You got to draw the line. People are like this, and this I called it. I had a friend too like that, you know. Obviously, we're no longer friends because I was sick of being interrogated by her friend. You know, they were like all ganging out. There was just this high school mentality that, you know, I'm not even going to go there. But so he tried, and then he made fun of me. He goes, well, what did you want me to do? Talk about your mother? See, he's making jokes on my expense. You know, don't you love it when the narcissistic person who puts a little dig, you know, little digs? And then they say, what's wrong with you? You have no sense of humor? You can't take a joke? That's not a joke, honey. That's a narcissistic dig. They're jabbing you, right? In disguise as a joke. And then they're gaslighting you, saying there's something wrong with you. What's wrong with you? You can't even take a joke? Gee, what's wrong with you? It's only kidding. Red flag! Red flag! Red flag! You gotta be careful with that. Even if you're not in therapy, you have to be careful with it with your friends or your family, your siblings or your parents. Don't take any of that shit. Just don't take people's shit. Why do you think, you know, I'm a loner? Okay? Because I used to take people's shit all the time. All right? I used to. But now, out the door. I had nothing to do with you, you know? But, so people, you know, trying to force you, or psychologists trying to force you to talk about something that you don't feel comfortable talking about, making fun of you, putting little digs and saying it's just a joke. I'm just teasing. What's wrong with you? You can't even take a joke? Making you think like this. There's something wrong with you, you know? This was Brad Bedar. I'm telling you, I was so close to being committed. I never was committed, hospitalized for mental illness, but I'm telling you, I couldn't function. And then he made promises, right? I promise I won't kick you out of therapy like your other therapist did. I promise. Guess what he did? He kicked me out of therapy. Yeah, you know why? Because he found out I stood up for myself. I went to the licensing board, and he didn't like that. He told me that someone took him to the licensing board, and it cost him big money, and he never wanted to go through that again. And he found out that he said, how many shrinks did you take to the licensing board? How many? And he started getting really nervous in this one session. I didn't even know he was going to kick me out. He's going like this with his hands. He's wringing his hands out, okay, like a washcloth. He's going like this. How many did you, I can't see you anymore. Nope, I can't, nope. Okay, time to go. And I go, it's not time for me to go. We still have 25 more minutes. Then he sat back down. You know, and he'd hem and haw, and I'd try to talk about other things. And then he'd get up, time to go. I said, it's not time to go. I can't really see you anymore. We have to end this. We have to end this right now. I can't see you anymore. I'm not making this up, okay? This is exactly how he was in the session. I had no idea, you know. No, I can't do it. No, I can't see it. Nope. And then it was like, it wasn't even time to leave. I still had like 20 more minutes in the session. And he got up and he walked to the door. Okay, you gotta go. You gotta go. It's like you were thinking I had a gun on him or something. I'm just sitting there like, I couldn't believe him, you know. But it was for the best anyway, because I almost had a nervous breakdown. I mean, when I tell you I had crippling anxiety, I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't function. You know what I mean? I couldn't sleep. I had panic attacks all day. I mean, I don't even know if you know what a panic attack. Have you ever had one? Think about having one all day. All right? or you're crippling with, you can't breathe, you're sweating, you're, I was drinking loads of alcohol just to, calm myself down. Oh my God. As soon as I got away from him, though, it was 100% better. But see, I shouldn't have had to let it get to that point. I should have noticed that he's pushing me to talk about things I didn't want to talk about. 1, this is a narcissistic way, so listen up. Pushing me to talk about things I didn't want to. 2, he's poking fun at me, all right? And then when I don't like it, he's gaslighting me, making me think I'm nuts. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm only teasing you. See? So, making fun of you, putting you down, and then blaming you. Saying, oh, you can't take a little teasing. What's wrong with you? See, these are narcissistic traits. I should have known when he was doing these things. I should have said, Jesus, this guy's narcissistic. This guy, and I didn't listen to my body, right? I didn't listen. I had, crippling anxiety. I should have said, ever since I've been with this person, I'm having severe anxiety. I can't function. Why do you think that is? I should have said that to myself. My husband said it. He says, this guy is giving you a nervous breakdown. You gotta get out of that therapy. My husband saw it. He saw it. He said, this guy is going to land you in a hospital. Really? You think psychologists are out to help you? Most of the time, they put you in the mental hospital. They put you there, all right? I'm not kidding. I was close. Thank God. It didn't happen. But, I was very close, all right? You don't want to get that way. You don't want to walk in and be hospitalized because the shrink is messed up and they're gaslighting you and they're saying that you're the one who's nutso. You need to be committed. You know what he even said to me? Oh, you like McLean. They have good food. This is what he said, Dr. Brad Bitter. They have good food. You'll like it there. Oh my God. What? I don't understand why I couldn't see it, all right? But I'm sharing this with you so you will see this. I want to give you the signs because, if someone would have, if I had a video like this and I could have said, oh, geez, that sounds like my shrink, or gee, that sounds like my mother or my friend, and, I better get away. Those are the signs. Now, Dr. Eugene Pagani, they're all narcissistic. 9 out of 10. Okay, I'm not going to say all. Most psychologists are narcissistic. 9 out of 10. You heard it from someone who's been in therapy almost 20 years with all different types, all different walks of life. Rich millionaires, poor ones, black ones, yes, old ones, young ones, men, women. I've had them all, baby. European. I've had them all. And they're all narcissistic. You're talking to a pro here. A patient. A patient a woman who's a pro at being a patient, okay? Now, with Pagani, he didn't respect I had a best friend who was like that too, had no respect of my time. Nothing, When you make plans with someone, especially, I was paying him, all right? I was paying him for 50 minutes of his time once a week. He'd arrive at the session late and then end the session early. Now, what if you were in a job, right? And you showed up late and you left early? Obviously, I confronted him about this over and over and he goes, well, I'm busy. I have things to do. Can you imagine if I said that to my boss? Or if you said that to your boss? What if you arrived late for work and left early and your boss says, hey, you're not staying here the whole time, and you go, well, I'm busy. I have things to do. You see how narcissistic that is? I said, but your job is to give a patient 50 minutes, isn't it? Well, insurance only pays for 45 minutes. This is his answer to me. They're all smart Alex. These narcissistic people, they have an answer. They have an answer for all your questions. They have an answer for it. And I said, oh, insurance only pays for 50 minutes. 45 minutes, excuse me, for 45 minutes. I said, well, then if that's true, why don't you make your sessions 45 minutes? Then you'll be getting paid for exactly the amount, you'll be doing the amount that you're paid for, all right? Because I do 50-minute sessions. You do? You don't with me, And see his arrogance, I'm busy. I have things to do. Yeah. And this can show up too, like with family or friends, they got to respect your time, If you're supposed to meet someone somewhere at a certain time, things happen. There's traffic, whatnot. But I'm talking about consistently. I'm not talking about here or there or you know what I mean? Always look for consistency when someone does something. Someone, you can't like throw a good friendship away because, your friend had a bad day, or your friend was late one time, or your friend said something that was kind of hurtful. You got to look for a pattern. Always look for the pattern. Do they consistently say hurtful things? Are they consistently, trying to get you to talk about things you don't want to, or giving you the third degree consistently, not like once or twice, all right? Because we're not perfect. Hell no, I'm not perfect, right? No one is perfect. There's going to be times that you say something that'll hurt me, or I'll say something that'll hurt you. All right, we're not perfect. But if it's consistent, it's happening more times than it isn't happening, red flag, red flag. And then get this. This is Dr. Pagani now, the one in Newton who was always, late and then always, left the therapy early. One day he decides, after 2 years of doing therapy, he doesn't want me anymore as a patient. Now, get how he does this. In an email. A 1-sentence email. He said, after that phone call, I'll tell you about the phone call after I tell you about his email. After the phone call over the weekend, I decided I can't work with you anymore. Good luck. Bye. Now, I called him up. This is the phone call that he was referring to. And I told him that it looks like he's burning out. I'm a very observant person, okay? I've been told I'm very insightful. I'm very observant. And he had just come back from vacation. And he looked like he needed another one. Okay? He just came back and it looked like he needed another one. And I told him that he should speak to a colleague or get some consultation. That's all I said. That's it. Nothing more than that. And, oh boy, whoa, I stepped on some toes there. And he wrote me that email and said, that's all I said. I didn't threaten him. Okay, there was no, I just told you exactly what I said. That he looked burnt out, that he should probably talk to someone, a professional, get some consultation. They're supposed to do that anyway. That's all I said. I didn't say, go to the loony bin, or you need to be locked up, or you're crazy. Beware of someone who can't take a healthy dose of, I don't want to say even criticism. I don't know. Like, just beware of someone who's so uppity and so full of themselves that you can't tell them, you can't be concerned, all right? Like, you can't be concerned at all about, about someone, and that's it.